record this. I am going to now quickly share my screen and bring up the challenge so that everybody can see the, can everybody see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, so it's full screen. And then just let me check something so that I can go right here. So this is the agenda for today. So with that, with Claretta standing in for Dr. Knight.
Check the, like Brian came in here, is like, yeah.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
So welcome everyone for, thank you for joining us today. We are extremely excited to have the opportunity to establish this challenge. As you'll meet him shortly, Mike Goodson is the technical lead on this challenge, and he has worked for a number of years in this area. And so we're excited to have him lead the charge here. A little bit of background, I don't remember how Rajesh has done this in the past, but I'll just say that—
Claretta, I'm online.
Thank you.
Yeah. So go ahead and finish. Unfortunately, I was on another call, so I had to finish that
Sure.
up. Yeah.
I was just going to say this challenge has been organized by a community of practice here at AFRL. And it is one of 3 challenges, the second of 3 challenges that we are offering. And our intent is to demonstrate that synthetic biology approaches can contribute to solving solutions for the Air Force. And so as a community, we're very excited about this opportunity and welcome you to the challenge. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Claretta. Appreciate you all joining in and expressing interest and attending this session. We've been excited about the responses we've gotten so far with our synthetic biology challenges. And as Claretta had mentioned, this is part of the larger AFRL biotechnology portfolio. The intent of releasing biotech challenges is to leverage and build partnerships with academia, industry, and non-traditionals in the area of biotechnology. And we seek to, push some of the technology advances towards, Air Force applications. I know many of these challenges are broad, and they're broad for a reason, because we know the potential that exists in this area, and we feel that this is the time for us to step up and push some of those capabilities towards Air Force and DoD needs, as this has been leveraged for other civilian commercial activities as well. As you all know, biotech is advancing at a rapid pace in several sectors, and I think the current COVID-19 pandemic has re-emphasized, the strength of the biotech ecosystem in this country, as well as through international partners. In fact, I was just on a phone call, I was on a Zoom call with 6 other countries talking of the COVID-19 pandemic and how we can come together to form a network to address just not the current one, but future pandemics. And I think through this challenges, we're seeking to partner with the best solution provider to address the specific Air Force challenges, which you're going to be hearing in a couple minutes from Mike Goodson on Challenge 3, who's been the architect of Challenge 3 on the microbiome area, and how we could use that to enable, from an Air Force perspective, provide some solutions for some of the needs that we have. We seek to build relationships and partnerships with you all, and then build those capabilities that can support national security interests. Today, we're here to answer any questions you might have of the process, the players, the problem itself. And I would like to acknowledge, Sean Mahoney and his team from Ensign. Sean represents the AFRL Small Business Office, who has been an advocate for us in securing funds to support this activity. Chris Levitt of Ensign, who will walk you through the process. Bob Lee from Wright Brothers Institute, as well as Dr. McQuaid and Dr. Sullivan, who you heard from, who have been the program managers, who have been doing the heavy lifting. And of course, I want to recognize Dr. Mike Goodson, our microbiome guru here at the 7-Eleven Human Performance Wing. And please feel free to ask questions as they arise during the session. And we'll also be publishing an FAQ at the end of the session. So for those who want to keep track of that, and I think we will share all the information in the slides on the website. So once again, thank you for joining. On behalf of AFRL, I welcome this opportunity to work with you, and we look forward to the discussion, but also want to see you submit your ideas. We are going to be doing, down selecting on the first challenge pretty soon here. So we're hoping to get all this, started very soon, the 3 challenges up and running within this fiscal year. With that, thank you, and I turn it over to Bob.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I just wanted, before I turn it over to Mike, I want to actually just to have you be ready for this kind of things. The panel members can keep their cameras on, but mute your mics when you're not talking. Please use the chat session to put your questions up there. Even if you're asking it later, we want to try to get through the briefings and then answer all of the chat questions that come up, so you can grab them as they come. And then just to if you're asking a question, you can turn your camera on, but if you leave the mic muted, then it comes back to the people that are presenting. I'm going to make a recording of this thing that will be posted up on the site so that you guys can actually, in case you missed something or you want to review it for later purposes. Okay, with that, I would like to turn this over to Dr. Michael Goodson, and we can start with his presentation on the challenge itself. Mike.
Great, thanks, Bob, and welcome everyone. Good morning. So, Bob, I'll ask you to advance the slides by saying next, if that's all right.
Yep.
So, yeah, thanks for your interest, everybody, in this third grand challenge. I'm very excited by it, and I'm very excited by the number of people we have interested in it. So I'm sure we'll get some great submissions. So if we go to the next slide, please, Bob. So this is the issue that we have in the Air Force and in the wider DoD. We train our warfighters up in the US, get them very well trained. They're at the peak physical and mental performance. And then, next slide, please, Bob. We ship them to another part of the world. And the other parts of the world that they get deployed to are often in different time zones, often have perhaps different physical demands than they used to. It's often a high stakes environment. It's often an environment that is you can train for, but it's very different from the places that you train in. There's an increased cognitive load. Often there's a lot of things that the warfighters have to process quickly, and that goes to the time pressures. Now we know that when all of these combinations of factors get together, next slide please, Bob, we know that increases the stress in our warfighter. It would increase the stress of anybody. But some of the manifestations of these stresses we see are an increase in fatigue. Often our warfighters don't have optimal sleep for various reasons. This leads to reduced focus and cognitive decline. As you know, even just in sleep studies that have been going on in the literature and in the wider community, we know that lack of sleep leads to reduced focus and cognitive decline. Right, next slide, please, Bob. For this grand challenge, this is the key part. I mean, we're only 40% human by cell number, but that kind of, you guys all know this already, I'm sure. But that kind of hides the fact, actually, if we look at the genes that are involved in our 60% of our cells that are the microbial component of what lives in and on us, those genes outnumber what's in our genome by about 300 times, which is a huge metabolic potential that I think is going untapped. And so it's not surprising that when our microbial components of ourselves, our microbiome...
Innovation, the macrophage interaction actually has been studied.
June, would you mute your microphone, please?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I will. Yeah, sorry.
All right, cool. When that microbial component gets a bit out of whack, it changes our physiology just because of the things that our microbes are producing that affect us, not only from an infection point of view, but from neurotransmitters and the gut-brain axis. It affects our physiology, or what we experience. So go to the next slide, please. So coming back to that, and coming back to the stresses that we know our warfighters, our deployed warfighters experience, we know that those stresses affect our microbiome. And so what the grand challenge is how do we affect our microbiome in a positive way to take it back to an optimal state? So next slide, please, Bob. And next slide again, please. So this is what the grand challenge is all about. How do we take our warfighter that's experiencing all of these stresses and having this fatigue based symptoms, I suppose, of reduced focus and cognitive decline, and modulate our microbiome to get back to an optimum state, whether that's through probiotics, symbiotics, smart probiotics. How do we get back to that optimum state? And so next slide, please. And so this is the real crux of this grand challenge. How do we design and deploy a microbial intervention that provides fatigue resistance during multi-day periods of suboptimal sleep duration? That's what we're going for. We are, as Dr. Naik said, it's kind of open. Fatigue resistance can be many things, but that's because we don't want to limit the ideas that are coming in. What we would like to, and it's, as you know, it's a year project, which is a very, very aggressive timeline. But what we'd like to see is by the end of the second quarter, have candidate microbial interventions that possess traits or traits that are likely to provide fatigue resistance. Demonstrate this in a model system that's designed to assess fatigue mitigation by microbial intervention. And then also on a more of a logistic point, have a site visit with whoever is the successful proposer, have a progress report and a presentation. Because at that point, at the end of the second quarter, there will be a go, no-go decision as to whether the third and fourth quarters are funded. And then by the end of the fourth quarter, we would like to have a demonstration of the efficacy of the microbial intervention that will be able to counter fatigue utilization using the model systems that were developed in the first half of this. What's really important, I think, with this as well, is that we want to have a microbial intervention delivery method as well. I mean, it's cool to have this in vitro, but if we don't think about how to get it into a warfighter stably, then that's going to be a problem. And then logistically, at the end of the fourth quarter, there'll be a final report, a program presentation, and a review at the Air Force Research Labs. And I just wanted to put in this post-success plan here. And what we would like to do is to get this into the hands of our warfighters. And so responsive proposals, which also develop paths towards extensive human trials and analysis of the regulatory hurdles of this particular microbial intervention, will be viewed favorably. And I just wanted to put that out there as you're looking forward past this grand challenge. So that's me. I just wanted to try and give you an overview of what we were trying to get to, hopefully stimulate some questions. Bob, I'm done, and I'm ready to get to the next part of the question and answer.
Okay, well, thank you, Michael. I wanted to, since a lot of you don't know who the Wright Brothers Institute is, and that's basically who you're going to be interacting with and contracting with on this challenge, because as part of the Air Force challenges, the Air Force can't do this directly by doing challenges, so by law, they have to work through an intermediary, a not-for-profit. So WBAI was founded as a nonprofit in 2002, basically to help the Air Force Research Lab to do things differently, to try different things, to really try to speed up some of the things and get through some of the regulatory hurdles that we have when you're constrained with contracting and the problems that are. So we are operating on a DoD authority to do these kinds of challenges. And what I wanted to do is just kind of go through what will happen on the whole process as we go through it. So once you submit your white papers, they're going to be submitted to the NINSIN website, and we'll show you that in just a minute. The government team is going to evaluate those white papers, and here's what's different. Once we select the white papers, that's kind of just to see where the best ideas are coming from. Then you will be given 2 weeks to prepare for a pitch day. And in the pitch day, you will have a chance one-on-one to talk to Michael and the rest of the team and basically tell them why it is that they're. So in the white paper, you don't have to put out any proprietary information. You just got to answer pretty much the kind of questions of so what, who cares, and why me? Why should we select you? What makes your approach so intriguing for us? Then the sessions will come back down to that pitch day, and a final winner will be selected, and we'll move forward with the contracting. I did want to mention that any company or any team can actually submit more than one white paper if you've got several ideas on how to approach this problem. What you'll be doing is, at that point, we will WBAI will issue you a purchase order if you are the winner. Based on that final pitch day, you will be able to invoice for 50% of the price right off the bat. So the idea here is, instead of progress reports, we're going to be giving you that 50% so that you can, if you need to buy equipment or use it for labor or whatever it is that you need, you're going to be given to that. That's going to lead you to that go, no go decision that Michael just talked about. You will basically engineer your strains that can combat that and establish their effectiveness in some manner. And then if these Cs are deemed the proper, if we go to that no-go decision at the end of the second quarter, the remaining prize money would be released to you and devoted to testing those interventions to increasingly in complex environments. Hopefully we can accumulate this in being ready, not do human trials, but be ready for the human trials that Mike wanted to get to. And then if we can understand what those things are that we can do, then we'll be ready to go. It does tell you that, again, everybody's very, very interested in this process, in this thing. And as you can see, it would be a great benefit to the Air Force warfighters. So although we can't promise a follow-on contract, I can tell you that there's a lot of people very much interested in engaging with a company if successful. Potential CRADAs or other agreements could be set up at that point. One of the things that always comes up about in these kind of challenges is intellectual property. What is the purpose? Who's going to own the intellectual property? The key here is that the Air Force and the DoD really doesn't have any want to own the right. We only ask for government purpose rights, and that is because if you're successful and for some reason your company goes out of business or doesn't do it, we want to have the right to continue to pursue that which was produced under this grant. So it will have a requirement in the purchase order that you agree to the government purposes rights, but that means that the government can only use it for the government purposes, and you have all commercial rights to that, and you can go ahead and license that and patent it, any kind of thing that you come out with. And I think we're still wanting to look at how does this get manufactured.
Good night.
Julie, can you mute your microphone? And if you have a question, put it into the chat window. We will answer all of those questions as soon as we get to the question and answer session. Okay? So thank you. And I think we would just want to be able to show at some point how this could be manufactured in a U.S. company if it was there. Because again, we're very much interested in moving the needle to actually create products that the Air Force could and the U.S. military could use. This is the actual statement is there, but I wanted to highlight this. We do not include the right to use, modify, produce, or things for software for commercial purposes. You have all commercial purpose rights will be retained by the person that wins. This is kind of a timeline. If you wanted to take a look at the dates that are going to be out there, they're also posted on the challenge itself and also on this question and answer session. But you will have between now and the 4th of September to actually submit the white papers. On the 21st, they will select the white papers, and that will allow you to then give the pitch on those days. Pitch day will be the 6th of October, so kind of hold that in abeyance, and we will then set up whoever's the winners. I will send you out a Zoom invite that's going to be just for you and the review committee. You can see if you are awarded these things, there's a couple of requirements that are going to be done. The team wants to engage with you, to help with you. So there's going to be monthly teleconferences and a comprehensive report and site visit at the 6-month point. I want to turn this over to Chris just to see if there's anything that he wants to bring up about the overview of the website. So with that, I'm going to stop the sharing here. And Chris, do you want me to pull up the website for you just to show people where it is and how to get on it?
That's all right, Bob. I'll go ahead and do it for you.
Okay.
So hey everyone, I'm Chris Levitt. I am a program manager at Enston. So one of my duties is management of what we call the DIN. So as you see here, this is the DIN. This is our Defense Innovation Network. This whole thing is built as a series of kind of interlocking communities in which challenges are run, all based on solving DoD problems, whether that has to do with a specific branch of service or a DoD office. So this is kind of a unique case for us running this sort of challenge. That being said, this is what it is. So you can head to this site. I will drop this link into the chat in a moment, but it's innovatedefense.net/AFRL-challenge-3. That will take you to this site. It'll actually take you to a registration page. From there, you can go ahead and create your account. That will grant you almost immediate access into the site once you validate your email address. And then once you're in here, it's very simple to submit your white paper. So on this page, obviously you see we have this banner. Below that, we have a couple of links to kind of a welcome page as well as the challenge information. And then below that is the activity space. So here, submission is as simple as clicking Add Submission. Once you do this, you'll be taken to this page. You can add your title, any details you want to include here, and then you can upload your attachment. So this is probably where you're going to want to put your white paper. If you choose to do so, you can upload an image to go with your submission. It's not required by any means. It does add a little bit of aesthetic value, but beyond that, it's not necessary. Then you click Submit. Once you do that, your submission will be immediately populated down here. One thing to note, everything posted on this site is visible to everyone else who has access to the site. So the theory there, as it applies across all of our other communities and challenges, is that we really are striving for open innovation, allowing people to collaborate and comment on each other's submissions. We understand that that's kind of an odd use case for this specific challenge. That being said, like Bob said earlier, this is not a place for you to post proprietary information. This is a place for you to kind of give an overview of your concept. All real selection of a winner will come further down the road and not on this platform. So you shouldn't be concerned about giving away any of your trade secrets here. This is really just a place for you to start getting the ball rolling on your submission. The other thing to note here is we do have an additional page called Challenge Information. You can link to it from the top here, from further down here, or further down the bottom. That will take you to this page. Here you can kind of see the overview of the challenge again if you need it for your reference, as well as at the bottom, we do have the full timeline there that Bob just mentioned. So it's very simple. If you do have questions, if you have issues with the website, anything at all, at the very bottom of every page, you'll see a Need Help, Contact Us button. You click that, it will generate an email that will come to me and the rest of my team. So you will we'll be able to get in touch with you in short order and take care of whatever the problem is. Bob, that's about it. It's very straightforward.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that we did have one case of somebody that was registering on there, and he had a very strange domain. So it didn't allow him in right away. If that happens, just drop an email to me or Chris, and we will make sure that you get in. Okay, with that, Chris, if you want to stop the sharing, we can start opening this up to question and answers at this point. So
Hey, Bob, this is Rajesh. Maybe if you just want to mention, I know we've had some previous questions, especially concerns about proprietary information and sharing of maybe at a level that they feel might impact their IP. And if though you have those concerns, can they just send that to you and you will get it to the appropriate technical experts within the organization? Over.
Yes, if you have like any concerns or things that would stop you from submitting, talk to me. We can create a workaround so that your ideas can still get put in there. I would like for the white papers, you would still have to submit a white paper that describes it to get into it, but any other information that you believe might be proprietary or things like that, go ahead and send it to me, and I will make sure that that gets added to your white paper for consideration from the general team. Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
And again, any other problems that you have, you've got my email. Just go ahead and let me know from there. I'm going to go ahead and start by taking a look at the questions that are in the chat room like this. Is there a font size or word limit or font type requirement? Upload supplementary material on the website. How would you like us to cite our sources? My answer to that, and Michael can chime in if he wants to, but I think really it's all about communication. If you can communicate your idea, I don't care what font type or size you use. We really want to just find the best ideas that are out there. And in your white paper, you can include links to your sources, but basically putting the author and the date is probably pretty important. Michael?
Yeah, I'll just echo that. Yeah, I mean, for the reviewers, I think having the author and the dates would be handy. I think for the folks that haven't done submitted a white paper into the government before, these are generally 2 to 4 pages. They're meant to be an overview. They don't need to get into the weeds too much, but cover enough information so we know that you know what you're doing. It's more of a way to down select for the pitch day, which is where I think we will get a little bit more detailed. So yeah, that's me.
The whole idea of a white paper submission is so that it doesn't produce a large amount of burden on anybody that wants to submit. It's really to collect all of the ideas, screen those to get the top ideas, and then you go into the detail about that. Okay, I see that the next question come up that says, will the slides be available for printing on our personal use? All of the slides that you were presented today, plus a video of this, will be posted on the NINSYN site as part of that information that Chris just talked to you about. Let's see. Do we need to submit a detailed budget? No. I think, Mike, that's the answer. And is there a length limit for the proposal? My comment on that would be, again, take what you need to be able to communicate your concept and the reason why you should be selected for the pitch day. But the adding more length probably doesn't really help you a lot, because it's really going to be judged on the idea and the concept that you put forward there. So Michael, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, no, I think you're right, Bob. I think anything longer than 4 pages is unusual. in the white paper. They're normally around 2, but don't squeeze everything into 2 pages if 3 or 4 pages is going to make it easier to understand. Yeah, so it's very much an idea. Get that concept out and show that you have that you have the experience to do that.
Is there a template for the white paper? Okay, and the answer to that is no. You can use whatever format you want. You can use any means to communicate that you want. You can add pictures. You can upload. If you have even a video, you can also upload that and put that on the website too for people. Again, if there was, Rajesh raised the question, if there's proprietary stuff that you think is important for the team to have, send that to me and I'll make sure that that gets not published on the website, but attached to the white paper that you do put on the website. Okay. Don't submit your white papers to me, just any supplemental material, but you have to have a white paper in there. And here's another question. Does the AFRL consider other interventions, non-microbial or probiotic, that may modulate the existing microbiota to decrease pathobiotins? Okay, Michael, that's up to you.
All right, yes, that is a great question, and that was one that I was hoping would be raised. Our goal is to have a microbial component that ameliorates some fatigue symptom, basically, like whether that's cognition, focus, something like that. The grand challenge are generally synthetic biology, although if you have microbes that you think would be able to do to reach the goal that aren't engineered, I would say that would be acceptable to this challenge as well.
Okay, here's another one. It says, I'm from academia and have no company affiliation. Am I able to submit?
For my opinion, yes, absolutely. I think we are taking all ideas from everybody. I mean, ultimately, as Bob said, we would like to partner with a company that may be able to scale this up if we get to the goals that we would like to. But in this proposal, in this call for the proposals, yeah, you don't have to be a company.
I will mention this, that another one of the functions within the Wright Brothers Institute is to help facilitate connections for Air Force use. So if that is, I would say, don't let this stop you from submitting, and just contact me, because I may be able to put you into contact with a list of companies that may be interested in the area in manufacturing, but they don't want to produce something at this time because they're kind of maxed out. And it's something we can pull in later too.
Right. So Bob, I think there was already in a chat, someone already offered to provide, scale up capabilities. I saw someone put something in there.
Oh, yeah.
From the DOE labs, or I think from, one of the DOD labs. They do have a scaling up facility. So if you don't have that, there you go. There's someone who's offering to help with that. So again, you're welcome to speak to others who have, connect with others who are willing to work with you. And come back to the earlier question about academics. I mean, I might just add, I want to reemphasize, we just don't want this to be a research project that results in a publication. We really want to see this transition into a viable product down the road. So as much as, we would welcome great ideas from academic labs, we would like also for you to team with someone who is now going to sort of take that to the next level, whether it's that scaling up, helping you with what would be maybe even in a phase 2, the scale up, because there's specific requirements that we have in the challenge that we're asking you to achieve. And some of that might not be achievable in just an academic lab setting. there are some academic labs that can achieve those things, but some they can't. But if you have a great idea, I encourage you to reach out to others and build partnerships. And several of the folks who are attending today bring that to the table, including our members of DOE Lab. We have Johns Hopkins APL Lab here. So there is a network of folks you can tap into over.
I will mention too, and Chris can comment on this, that if you go to the members of the people that have signed up for the challenge, you'll have email contacts, so you can email anybody else and see who else is out there.
Yeah, so directly through the site, you can send people a message, kind of an in-app message, and then from there you can exchange further information to contact each other.
A question here is, what is the minimum requirement, if any, for team size? Are there any limitations, exclusions for who can be part of a team?
For me, I'll add my bit. No, there is no limitation to team size, but there is a limitation to the amount of money we give out. So it's if you have 1,000 people, they're not going to get paid very much. So, but the point is, no. I mean, as Bob and Dr. Nikes said just then, I think teaming may be a good option depending on your situation. There's no maximum limit. Also, at this stage, there's no exclusion. Some DoD grants are only to US citizens. This is not. This is open. Although with the stipulation, of course, that we would like a team, should you get to the end, should you be the successful person and get to the end of the project, to team with a US-based manufacturing company to scale it up.
Okay, another question comes in. Can DoD national laboratories participate directly in the proposal call? Dr. Naik, I'm going to ask you to answer that one.
Yes, they can. I think that's more a question for Sean Mahoney from the rules from a small business office. If it precludes other government agencies, I don't think it should, because I think this is an open challenge. So Sean, can you speak to that, please? Over.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so what we're looking for is the ability to manufacture and scale up in the end here. So if you partner with somebody, I don't think that the money can go directly to another government agency. It needs to be going to a business or an academic partner. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I guess from there, they can subcontract or do whatever internally through their business.
Right, yeah. But we can't award the money directly to another government agency. It has to go to somebody they're partnered with, and then they can work with them and leverage that. But yeah, thank you.
And another one is are all entities eligible for the prime award? And I think the answer to that is correct, except for with the stipulation that Sean just had about government agencies. Our students or postdoc researchers who will execute the experiments need to be a U.S. citizen. And I think Mike's already answered that by saying no. You can have anybody on your team that you want to. This is open to the world. And we think that, again, with the stipulation that we want to ultimately go gear towards production in the U.S. Okay, and I see Monique from Johns Hopkins is also offering for anybody that they need to team with that they would do. Can a U.S. laboratory collaborate with laboratories in Europe? Michael?
Yeah. So sort of going back to the original question, really, yes. There is. This is an open call worldwide, and so. Yeah, I don't think you should limit your collaborations to the US. But with the caveat that if we're going forward with this, if the proposals are really successful and the experiments are really successful, then we'd like to partner with it. Well, no, we insist that we partner with a US-based manufacturing scale-up company or entity. But yeah, don't restrict yourself to US laboratories going forward.
Okay,
Yep, I agree.
I think that's the end of the written questions that we have. Is there any other questions that anybody has or concerns? Again, if you think of one after we close out this session, you can always send it to me. I will add it to their question and answer session. It'll be posted up onto the challenge website. Any other comments? If not, I will just turn it back over to the team for any closing comments that you have.
Okay, I'll jump in then. I'm very excited by the response to this call. I think as I mentioned in my little presentation, it is a very aggressive timeline. But just by looking at the folks that are on this call, even I know that there's going to be some great proposals put in. I encourage you to put them in, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what these proposals are. So thank you for attending this morning.
So this is Rajesh again. Just to add to Mike's comments, appreciate you all attending. Certainly, we're looking forward to receiving your proposals. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask, or concerns. Please send that to us. We want to make sure we hear all the best ideas, and if you may have a solution that you think does not fit within the challenge, please let us know too as well, because there might be other opportunities that we can think about. Because I know there might be other solutions you might be thinking out rather than the gut microbiome. Maybe there's the skin or the lung or what have you. So certainly we would be open to listening to the ideas. Then we can figure out opportunities, right? But again, I want to make sure we stay within the intent of this challenge as been developed here. But again, thank you all for participating. We're very excited. Just listening to what's going on in this advances in the microbiome area, we think this is the most opportune time for us to get and help and push the community forward to getting a viable product down the road. Over.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. With that, I'm going to save off the chat. I'm going to stop the recording.